Welcome to the Know-How video series for users of the Avaya Collaboration Designer snap-in. This is part 1, which introduces the Collaboration Designer user interface and its capabilities. As this is the first video in the series, and as you may not be fully aware of what Collaboration Designer is and does, I'll take a moment to explain whilst you get your first glimpse of its user interface. Collaboration Designer is an Avaya-built snap-in to the Avaya Aura collaboration environment. That is to say, it is deployed on and runs against the collaboration environment platform. It enables business analysts and other users to access the capabilities of collaboration environment and other deployed snap-ins without having to be a professional developer or needing in-depth knowledge of communications protocols. Users draft and build business process workflow applications using Collaboration Designer's intuitive drag-and-drop user interface. These applications, known as workflow definitions, are themselves deployed as collaboration environment snap-ins. So now, let's begin the tour. The Collaboration Designer user interface runs inside a web browser. I'm going to assume that you have access to a suitably configured environment and that you know your Collaboration Designer URL. The first page to be displayed is the Avaya Aura System Manager logon screen. Enter the user ID and password provided by your system administrator, which are used for single sign-on to both System Manager and Collaboration Designer. The credentials I entered are valid, so the Collaboration Designer user interface is displayed. The first thing to notice is the large area of almost empty white space to the right of the screen. This is a fresh canvas ready for you to start composing a brand new workflow definition. The canvas isn't quite empty, it's pre-populated with two objects that are common to all workflow definitions. The start event object is where you define how the workflow will be triggered, for example by an HTTP request from a REST web client, an intercepted telephone call, or another workflow. The variables object acts as a repository for the data that is passed from task to task through a workflow. To the left of the canvas is the palette of tasks, events, and decision gates that can be dragged and dropped onto the canvas as part of a workflow definition. These objects are grouped together in drawers based on object type and functionality. I'll start by opening the drawers containing the tasks supported by the core collaboration environment platform. The first of these is the integration drawer, which contains tasks that enable a workflow to interact with external entities, such as a RESTful web service or a database. The notification drawer includes tasks that send emails and SMS messages or log messages for audit purposes. The telephony communications drawer contains tasks that enable intercepted calls to be controlled. For example, inbound calls can be blocked or permitted to continue. They can be forwarded or forked to additional destinations, and so on. The media communications tasks enable media capabilities to be injected into workflows, such as the ability to make a one-party call, play an announcement in a call, collect DTMF digits, and schedule a Scopia video conference. In addition, the palette may contain drawers of tasks supported by other Avaya snap-ins deployed in your environment, such as context store and real-time speech. The palette also has a drawer of event objects. An event is something that occurs during a workflow and which affects the workflow behavior. You've already seen a start event, but it is also possible to define events for occurrences such as a workflow or leg of a workflow ending, a message being received, a task timing out, or an error occurring. Finally, the gateways drawer contains different types of decision gate that can be used to test specified conditions and determine which path a workflow should follow. So, creating a workflow definition is simply a matter of dragging objects from the palette, dropping them onto the canvas, and linking them like so. Well, not quite. As you can probably guess, there is a little bit more to it than that, not least configuring the individual objects that comprise the workflow definition and handling data across the workflow. But don't worry, Collaboration Designer provides data transition tasks, a data mapping tool, and other features to help you. We will return to the workflow creation process in later videos. The third component of the Collaboration Designer user interface is the toolbar that runs across the top of the screen. This contains many of the standard tools you might expect, such as create, open, save and delete a workflow definition, copy, cut, paste, delete and customize the appearance of selected objects on the canvas, zoom the canvas view, and so on. In addition to these are some very valuable Collaboration Designer specific tools that are used to share, preview, validate and deploy workflow definitions. Last but not least, the help option ensures that online help is always readily to hand if you get stuck or need to know more. The final component is the Zoom View control. Use it when you're working on a large workflow definition, such as this one, and want to pan around the canvas and zoom in on selected areas. That ends our tour of the Collaboration Designer user interface. Check out other videos in this series to learn how you can use Collaboration Designer to define, test, and deploy your own real-life business process workflows.